Hi, everyone. Happy January 30th, 2025. Happy 2025. Just wanted to kind of give you a rundown of what's going on astrologically. On Wednesday, we had a new moon in Aquarius. So I don't know how you all felt, but I felt really, really logical. I was in my air persona. I felt really logical. As of today, what happens is the moon changes signs about every 2.5 days. So the moon is moving into Pisces. And today I feel really kind of tired and dreamy and just a little less logical and more kind of in that water aspect. I also wanted to mention a couple of other things that are going on. So today, Uranus is going direct. It was since September 1st, 2024. It was in retrograde, and typically the outer planets stay in retrograde about 50% of the time. So Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are about 50% in retrograde. When a planet's in retrograde, it's a time to review, we go inward. It appears that it's moving backwards, but it really doesn't. It's just appears that way, but that's really the energy that comes out. When it goes stations direct, it's a whole different meaning. So with Uranus, it's the awakener. We're having very, very significant Uranus transit this year in June. It moves into Gemini. So you're going to see a lot of big changes. Same energy as last time Uranus was in Gemini was during World War II. The time before that was during the Civil War. The time before that was the American Revolution. So kind of interesting how history repeats itself with this. So some of the aspects of Uranus is potential for personal growth, innovation, and really it's the awakener. It's really time to say to yourself, okay, where do I want to be? Where do I feel like what is working for me and what isn't? And where do I feel like I want to take this? So I don't know if you've been feeling like this. I know a lot of people have been telling me what's going on. This energy is really heavy. I think a lot of things are changing this year. So with that, I wanted to do a reading. I am a vibrational evolutionary astrologer, so I am going to look at your chart from an evolutionary standpoint, understand why you're here, what's the blockages, and so on and so forth. So I have Talisha from Salt Lake City.
Yes.
How are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Like I said, a little bit tired compared to yesterday, but I'm doing well. What is your birthday, day, month, year?
March 31st, 82.
March 6, 1982?
Yep, March 31st.
I'm sorry, 6, as in 6?
No, 3.
Oh, March.
3/31/82. Yeah.
Got it. 3/31. Got it. March 31st, 1982.
Correct.
And what time were you born?
I believe it was like 8 in the morning.
8 in the morning?
Like around
okay.
8. Yeah, around that time.
And the city and state?
What's that? I'm sorry.
What city and state were you born?
El Paso, Texas.
El Paso.
Yeah.
El Paso, Texas. There we go. Okay. Like I said, so Talisha, what I do is I'm a vibrational evolutionary astrologer. So what I'm going to look at is something called the lunar nodes in your chart. They are the elliptical points in the sky. Um, they are very karmic. It's going to tell me, where you're coming from, past, life into this life. So it looks like if I look at these nodes correctly, you have the south node in Capricorn in the eighth house of Scorpio, and the north node in Cancer in the second house. I would say with a south node in Capricorn, south nodes in Capricorns tend to be very hard workers. They tend to be pretty goal oriented. So Capricorn and Cancer in the chart reflect mom and dad. So Capricorn is dad, while the Cancer is the moon, is mom. Capricorn is represented by Saturn. So really for this life, it's not about work and goals. It's really about getting into the emotional sense of who you are. And in this way, it really covers your self-worth. It's about, because it's in the second house in Taurus, I feel like it's about building. It could be building a business. It could be building something, building yourself up, your self-worth of, who you are. I would say if I look at one other part in this chart, I look at Chiron being the wounded healer. There's a whole backstory in Greek mythology about Chiron, and basically he was a centaur, half man, half horse, and he was immortal. It wasn't until he was released from his wounds that he understood really the meaning of life. And when I look at where your Chiron is in the chart, it's in the 12th house in Taurus. So I would say with that, in Taurus, Taurus people don't like change very much. It's like they fear change. And with it being in the 12th house, it's really about, it's kind of like when things get really bad, and you feel a certain way, you tend to kind of go really inward and probably not want to deal with it. And I would say somewhat it could be issues connecting to source and connecting to spirituality, where you really want to do this, but it's kind of hard because it's change, and it's maybe a new way of looking at something. Huh?
Yeah, and I don't like change. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the best way to deal with this is to actually make the changes, which seems very logical, but it's very hard because I have seen a lot of people with Chirons and Taurus continue to live in things that are not really good for them, because they're so fearful of what's going to happen. And I would say for you, it's really going inward too, to not logically and not looking at something that's, it's not just about hard work and making money, but it's about how do you feel when you're doing something? How does it make you feel inward? How does it make you feel emotionally? Are you connected to this? And I feel like that's where you're going to find your happiness. How does your body feel? How do you feel when you're whatever it is that you're wanting to build or wanting to do? How does it make you feel? Not what you've been conditioned to think, okay, I'm supposed to study this, I'm a hard worker, I'm supposed to do this, but it's really not about that. It's really about how you feel about all of this. And I feel like when you get to that level of consciousness, that's where you're going to find true happiness. That's where you're going to be able to build something in your heart's desire, because it's not
Okay.
about everything on the outside of what we think we're supposed to do. Does this all make sense to you?
Yeah, no, it does. It makes complete sense. Yeah.
So I would challenge you to make those changes, even if they're very small. Start out very small and then work your way up. Don't stay stuck in something that isn't good for you just because you fear that it's going to be worse than what you have. Embrace it.
Okay.
Because that's going to make you feel, once you get past that level, you're going to feel so much better about everything else. Then things are going to, because then you're flowing with the energy of the universe,
Right.
rather than kind of staying stuck and staying, because a lot of times Taurus will stay stuck and not do anything about it at all. And then wonder,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I should have done that, and so
But I
make
did so
those
wrong.
necessary changes.
Okay.
So thank you so much for
Well, thank you.
calling in, and have a great night.
You as well.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
So I wanted to also point out, tonight is pretty significant too. We're just getting over a new moon. We're going into Pisces. With the moon in Pisces is a really, really good time to manifest things. Some of the things that I do that I know that have worked for me, and I actually talk to my clients about this, is writing things that I want down in my phone, and and watching the words that I say. In other words, people always say, some people always say, this will never happen, or this is always the way it is. I think it's the words that you say to yourself, the things that you want. I'm going to get this, instead of saying this will never come. And it's really good to practice these things, because I think that whatever we put out emotionally is what we get back. And that's how all of this works. It's the energy that we put out, and it's about us being in a really good state of consciousness, and us manifesting when we feel the best about ourselves, and not feel stuck, and not feel like, oh my gosh, this will never change. Because those are the things, if you say those things, they never will change. So thoughts become actions. And if ever you're interested in a reading, I do private readings, I do business readings. My website is www.mmastroVibes.com. And thank you very much for listening to my show tonight. Have a great evening.